Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a series that I like to call Versus. Believe it or not, this is actually one of the longest running series on the entire channel. It's a series where we actually look at two different things within a Call of Duty game. Generally speaking, they are weapons, and compare the stats of them, and by the end of the video, you will know without a shadow of a doubt which one is actually better and why. We have done this for years. We started back in Call of Duty Advanced Warfare when I was actually comparing different weapon variants, talking about the stats between them. Since then, it has gone through many different games, Black Ops 3, Black Ops 4, and I think pretty much every single game since Advanced Warfare. So if you do enjoy this series and you want to see it continue on the channel, it's something that you enjoy, make sure you hit that like button. It shows me that you enjoy these type of videos and that you want to see more of them. So if you enjoy, simply hit that like button. But today we are going to be looking at two weapons that are very, very interesting. And I actually tweeted out asking you guys what weapons you'd want to see me compare. And by far the one that was asked for most was the MP5 versus the MP7. And I think this actually makes a lot of sense. Number one, they are very similar in their name, but number two, they're pretty much two of the best SMGs within the game. So if you've never seen one of these videos on my channel before, the way that these work is what we're going to do is look at all of the stats for these weapons, and then at the end of the video, talk about which one I actually think is the better weapon, because sometimes the one with the worst stat is actually better, and generally what that comes down to is recoil properties, but you'll see exactly what I mean by that by the end of the video. However, let's dive into these two weapons. So both of these weapons are fully automatic SMGs that have both really, really good rates of fire. Even though one's obviously better than the other, they're both very, very solid in that aspect. So the first stat that we always look at in these games is the damage profile of these weapons. Now, it is important to note that SMGs in Modern Warfare are really weird, where they actually have three different damage profiles. One's to the torso, one's to the head, and then one's to the limbs. You actually deal less damage to the limbs with SMGs in this game. That's why sometimes using SMGs feels really, really inconsistent within Modern Warfare. That being said, the damage profile that we're going to compare in this video and all videos going forward is going to be the torso damage profile, simply because that's where most of your bullets are going to hit. So to start things out, we are going to dive into the MP5. You're going to see two different damage profiles there. One of those is for the 9mm rounds, that is on the left, and then on the right is your 10mm rounds, which is of course an attachment. We're not going to dive too in depth with that in this video. I just put all the stats for the 10mm rounds on that right hand side in case you wanted to know them. So the base damage profile for the MP5 is 34 damage up close, 25 at mid-range, 19 at long range. That is going to range from a 3 to a 6 bullet kill, and with the 10mm rounds it's going to range from a 3 to a 5 bullet kill. That's really the biggest difference. After this, we move into the MP7, which is 25 damage up close, 20 at short mid-range, 18 at long mid-range, and finally 16 at very long range. So this damage profile, you're looking at a 4 to a 7 bullet kill. This is obviously much worse in every single aspect than the MP5, so obviously the MP5 has the better damage profile. So then for the normal damage profile of the MP5, you were looking at a drop-off from a 3 to a 4 bullet kill at 13 meters, which is actually a really good range for a 3 bullet kill. And then after that, it drops from a 4 to a 6 bullet kill at 20 meters, so not a huge range between the two of those. After this, comparing it to the MP7 drops off from a 4 to a 5 bullet kill at 10 meters, from a 5 to a 6 bullet kill at 15 meters, and from a 6 to a 7 bullet kill at 20 meters. So obviously the range is much, much better for the MP5. At all ranges, you are going to have less bullets to kill in every single circumstance for that MP5. However, this really doesn't tell the full story, because yes, the range is better for the MP5. However, the recoil is much, much better for the MP7. So even though the damage profile is better for the MP5, it is still going to be easier to pick people off across the map with the MP7, simply because it has better recoil. Now, where we start to see the MP7 shine is with the fire rate. So the base fire rate of the MP5 is 833 RPM. I clocked it in at about 830, but I saw some other people saying 833, so I just threw that up there. And then the MP7 has a fire rate of 968 RPM, so about 130 RPM better for the MP7. So obviously the MP7 takes the win there. But where the true colors of these weapons start to show is when we look at the time to kills for these weapons. So first of all, for the MP5, it is going to range from 144 milliseconds to 360 milliseconds, whereas the MP7 is going to range from 186 milliseconds to 372, which is obviously better in every single circumstance for that MP5, and it's simply because of that better damage profile. Even though the MP7 has a much faster fire rate, it's not quite enough to make up for the extra damage of the MP5. That being said, as soon as you miss a bullet with the MP5, all of a sudden the MP7 is going to have a better time to kill simply because of that faster fire rate. It has faster follow-up bullets. So as long as you are accurate, the MP5 time to kill is much, much better. Not to mention, if you're using those 10mm rounds, it's even better at long range with the MP5. But like I said before, the recoil is still much more for the MP5 than the MP7. Now moving into the smaller stats, the ones that aren't quite as important, but you might want to know. First of all, we got magazine size. So the magazine size is 30 rounds for the MP5 and 40 rounds for the MP7, which is kind of surprising with how small of a weapon the MP7 is, but obviously that's better for that weapon. And then after that, we have the reload times. So the reload time for the MP5 is 1.70 seconds, whereas the MP7 is 1.49 seconds. So even with a larger magazine, you are still going to be able to reload faster with that MP7. So two pretty good stats for the MP7 there. Now the final two stats that we have to look at are the aim down sights time and the sprint out time. And for both weapons, it's actually exactly the same, and both of them are standard for SMGs. A 200 millisecond aim down sights time and 133 millisecond sprint out time. This is very, very average for the SMGs within this game. So very clearly, looking at the stats, it looks like we have a winner. Clearly, there are 3 stats that are better for the MP5, where there are 4 stats that are better for the MP7. And in fact, one of them that I didn't even talk about is the MP7 actually has a better hip spread as well. It's a very small difference, but it is better than the MP5's. This is one of the few circumstances when you look at weapons, see that the stats are better for one, and I actually disagree. And this is actually very rare. I think this is the second time ever in like 6 years that I've ever disagreed with the stats. I truly believe that the MP5 is a better weapon, and once again, just having a quick look at the stats there, the ones that are better for the MP5, the 3 that are better, are much more important than the 4 that are better for the MP7. The time to kill at every single range for the MP5 is better. The damage at every single range is better. The range itself is better, and because of that, in almost every situation, if you're in a gunfight and you have the MP5 against someone with the MP7 and both of you don't miss a bullet, the MP5 is always going to win, and because of that, I personally give the win to the MP5. However, there is one situation where I do think the MP7 is better, and that is at long range, and the simple reason for that is the fact that the MP7 essentially has 0 recoil. It is so easy to control the recoil on the MP7 that it really doesn't matter how far your target is away from you. You're pretty much going to be able to outgun them because, one, the fire rate is extremely fast with basically 0 recoil. So once again, looking at the stats, it looks like the winner should be the MP7, but this is one of the few times I actually disagree with the numbers here, and I say that the MP5 is the better weapon. But this is the beauty of the Versus series. Now that I've given you all of the stats, I'm sure you guys have used both of these weapons. You can come to your own opinion. What do you think? What weapon is better in your hands? The MP5 with the higher damage, or the MP7 with the essentially no recoil and a really fast fire rate? Let me know what your favorite weapon is down in the comments. On top of that, if you enjoy this series and want to see more of it, the best way to show me is simply hitting that like button. And the other thing is, is, let me know down in the comments what weapons you'd like to see go head-to-head in the future. I've heard some things about a couple of snipers going head-to-head, a couple of assault rifles, so let me know which weapons you would like to see next in this series. And on top of that, if you do enjoy this type of content, want to stay up to date on everything Modern Warfare, make sure you hit that subscribe button, make sure you have notifications on. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, peace out.
We are reaching for the stars, but we're making this too hard, and I want